M66. We still go on
so
about
you
it.
still remember
Huge
M66.
beauty. Get in there. They think it's all over. It is now. Couple of autographs. Couple of autographs.
just a few overs. Yes, they made back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is that about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. And a little way, potentially, consideration relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is that about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. And a little way, potentially, consideration relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon as they made now. Jake, great 26 relates to progress like test here. It's back to cricket clubs alongside the starters in his name and culture. Jake, great 26 leagues, and two innings there. The situation is about Monsters, Rovers, until as soon against Wellington. Wellington shuffles in the crease, plays that one. Taken. Over this for Hampshire so far. 7 runs with delivery remaining.
You want to try and get out of this over with very little now, and Hampshire will be looking for the boundary as well.
They'll get it right on cue. Dr. Jane Powell. An excellent sweep shot. Superbly executed by Francesca Sweets. What was a decent over for Hampshire turns into a very good one. 11 runs from it after 33. The visitors are 161 for 5.
Yeah, I think definitely Hampshire's over that one, and it'll be very much like take every over as it comes now, but let's try and build on that. These two are doing very well to build a partnership, and they're making it look quite easy at the moment. So the wicket looks a good one for batting on, so that's never a problem when you come to York. But what is a problem for Yorkshire is their line and length, making sure that they put the ball in the right areas to try and cause a little bit more thinking from the Hampshire players. And as I say that, I can see Beth Langston taking her jumper off to come in from the city end. So the experienced Langston to come into bowl now from that end.
Indeed, she will be. Imagine as well she'll bowl out from that end as well. The fact that we've still got 5 overs remaining. Still has, well, in theory, could have had 4, but have 3 here. Waiting for the overshirt to be taken from the field of play.
Yeah, the umpire didn't want to hang on to it, so he sent it off with 12th man Ria Thakral.
It does look lovely, doesn't it? Bathed in the sunshine. Of course, it's been a very stop-start, indifferent day. The weather, the overs to our right, some wispy clouds and blue sky. And we hope will stay the entirety of the afternoon. Langston ready then to bowl here. First to Amanda Jade Wellington. Langston chops that one into the surface.
they're the awkward ones from a batting perspective. You know, can we take a run? Can't we take a run? You know, the wicket keeper, if they're the one to pick it up, has got to pick it up and turn and throw. So you've got to take all these things into consideration. But that's played nicely through backward point, and it's going to run over the boundary for 4 runs.
Yep, really good use of the feet there from Wellington. It's something which we touched upon with regards to those stats, looking to change the bowler's line there and makes plenty of room against Langston. Just shuffles back, exposes all 3 of the stumps, carves it away down that region between backward point and deep third. Really was.
Yeah, and you know, I think that she's improved her batting enormously as Amanda Jade Wellington. You know, when she first came on the scene, she was just, I don't mean just a spin bowler, because she's a very good spin bowler, but she's really becoming an all-rounder now with her batting as she hits that one out deep square leg for a single. And I saw a few Hampshire supporters saying, shouldn't she be promoted to number 5? You know, she's coming at number 7 because she is regularly scoring runs for Hampshire, and there's a call by some of the loyal fans to move her up a bit because she is so reliable.
Is certainly very capable, very destructive with the bat in hand. So too this batter, Francesca Sweet, to swivel that one on the pull. As far as Inez Blackwell, so another single scored there as Sweet moves into the 40s. And she has been a really good pickup though. Wellington, as we've seen, has gone by for the Western Storm and Stevenson at Somerset. Proper all-rounder, a 3-dimensional, all-faceted cricketer. Someone has been an incredibly good addition to the Rose and Crown. That one just dabbed down towards deep third. Should at least be 1, could be 2, indeed it will be. Running there between the Hampshire pair, close to the 170, so around about 200, Jane. Definitely on.
Yes, definitely. That will be the target at least, I think, for Hampshire. Yorkshire will be happy if they keep them under that.
Very full, just about dug out by Wellington. Drops the bat on it for the single, and that will be the end of the over. So the visitors 170 for 5 after 34. Wellington moves on to 19, Francesca Sweet. And unbeaten on 40. For the first time today, we'll see a bit of Grace Hall on the rugby ground end. What a fantastic moment this is as well, Jane, for someone very much a local, this neck of the woods. Michael was mentioning earlier, familial connection to the city itself, of course the club as well. And for the first time is over a year, so this is fantastic to see. Grace Hall in the fold for her home county.
Yeah, known in a friendly way as the baby Malinga because she has a very wide arm slinging type of action. So we'll see whether the surgery and all the rehab that she's done comes to fruition now. She hasn't played because of that shoulder injury.
Starts off pretty well there, just conceding a single. See there the two Hampshire batters as well, in conversations with great regularity.
Yeah, as a batter, it becomes more difficult with this slinging action because it sort of skids off the wicket a little bit more. Most bowlers come up and over the top, but Grace definitely comes almost round the side.
That one is aerial by Sweet. Chips it over the top and will take 3 bounces out towards the cover boundary for 4. She now moves on to 44 and 49, and this really has been a dashing knock from the Hampshire
Yeah,
batter.
I think this is right up both Sweets and Wellington's main game, if you like. They like to attack the bowling, and they've got carte blanche to do that now. There's only 3.4 overs left. They might as well go for their shots, and they're doing it very well. They're doing it with ease, you might say. You know, they're just hitting through the ball, and they seem to find the boundary with ease.
How does Hall reply after that one? Rater should just be the single. So shy towards the striker's end. Field Hill couldn't quite direct it onto the stumps, but I do think Wellington would have been home anyway.
Yeah, I think if you've noticed, both Jess Jonathan and Amy Campbell in the last 2 overs have thrown to the end that Amanda Jade Wellington's running to. I think they see her as a more likely run-out candidate than Rebecca Sweet.
Here is Hall to Wellington. Wellington, that is outstanding from the Aussie. Innovative, enterprising, and exceptional.
Yeah, great shot. As you say, very innovative. As it comes in, you'll see here she decides fairly early there that she's going to hit that round. If she'd missed it, she'd have been in trouble, but she certainly didn't miss it and middled it to hit it round to what would have been third man, but ended up being fine leg with the shot she played.
To do that against pace, audacious with a capital A. Here is Hall again. Really taking the pace off that one. It's again down towards Georgie Boyce at third. Also have a change of commentator at the end of this over. I shall depart and make way for Michael McCann.
Yeah, it's a bit, certainly, you know, if I was out there, I'd be trying to get Georgie Boyce to come in a little bit because they're taking a single to her on the edge of the circle. It's almost like, let's risk it a bit, come in a little bit, and let's see if they'll take a single there as well, because they're taking singles too easily at that stage.
Well, that'll be the end of the over. Hall's first one goes for 12. Hampshire are 182 for 5, so I shall make way. I'll be replaced by Michael McCann. I'll leave you with some words of wisdom courtesy of Dr. Jane Power.
So 3 overs to go. It's one of those scenarios where Hampshire now just put their foot on the gas and keep going, and Yorkshire try to restrict them as much as possible. Three overs, 18 balls, at least one a ball they'll be looking for, and probably more. And if they do get 18, then they'll be up over to the 200 mark, and that will be their target as they go into these last 3 overs. But Jess Jonathan is coming on for her last over from the city end.
Yeah, to use a baseball analogy, the bases are loaded. Here for Hampshire, they're set to launch. They've got the perfect pair there to do it. Jonathan trying to put the squeeze on. So it just works that for 1. 3 runs away from 250s in 2 seasons at York, having got one for Leicestershire on this ground last season with Pete. One of the knocks that helped get the attention of Tier 1 counties. It led to her joining Hampshire, but she will spend time on loan at Glamorgan this season as well. Suddenly the sun is truly shining here at Scarborough. You'd never know that we've had any problems with rain all day. Listen to the enterprising Wellington, who's a little more conventional there. She's one of my favourite players to watch bat and bowl, Amanda Jade Wellington. She's truly box office. She's showing it again here with a valuable cameo. That's gone straight through everybody. Gonna flick off something on the way through. It will be... There's a run off the bat by the umpire. Maybe there's a little inside edge from Sweet.
Definitely beat her in the flight, I think, there. And she was fortunate to get away with that one, but you pay your money and you take your chances, they say.
It's down leg. Jonathan will have to re-ball that one to Wellington, who is never quite against spin. Against almost half the ball she faces off a spinner, she either charges, sweeps or reverses. She's very proactive. And she's content to just take 1. Winfield Hill was interested, but the run out was never really on. Even with a direct hit would have been fine.
You could see that she's looking to do that. She knows how to play the game. She knows how to rotate the strike, and she's playing a very good innings here and giving strike to Sweet, who's on 48.
Whacks that one away for what will be just 1 more. Brings Wellington into strike. Someone who's one of the first to truly embrace life as a women's franchise cricketer, you'd say, really, Amanda Jade Wellington. Her last appearance for Australia coming back in 2022. Has played the Aussies at international level on all 3 formats. Seems content enough to take 6 singles plus a wide off that Jonathan over. 129 for 5 with just 2 overs left. Sweet 1 short of the milestone. Lovely partnership between these two. 62 of just under 7, so they're actually scoring at around 9 and over, and that has lifted Hampshire to 189 for 5. But remember, there'll be a DLS adjustment on here as well. They'll get a few extra bonus runs for the fact that this hasn't, by any stretch of the imagination, always been a 38 over contest. I don't think it'll be a lot of runs, but a few little bonus runs on top. The final over of the innings that will come from the rugby ground end. An ultimate over of the innings overall. Wellington is doing all sorts to make life awkward for bowlers with her moving around. This time goes on the reverse. It's gone through everything.
Yeah, nice slower ball, actually.
These are the kind of change-ups and the moments you practice these change-ups for Grace Hall. And to someone like Amanda Jade Wellington, who's got an excellent record against seam bowlers, coming in at the back end and causing all sorts of chaos. And he's right in the channel. That's a valuable dot from Hall. She's just regaining a little bit of a sense of control here between Hall and Jonathan in the last 8 balls. Back to a runner ball rather than something more. Slow ball from Hall. It almost had a bit of a lollipop ball feel about it, but trying to be awkward. Sweet gets a single and gets to her 50. Very well batted, Francesca Sweet. Into the team with Freya Kemp busy on England duty, and gets herself her first 50 for Hampshire, having signed on a 2-year contract after impressing on trial in January. Certainly making a name for herself, having got the same milestone against Yorkshire on this ground last season in Tier 2 for Leicestershire. He's launched just wide of Campbell at mid-off and will go for 4. So 4 more for Wellington. These two really rifling things along at the back end.
Yeah, and that's another good shot there, and she just looks for the gaps and she's able to put it into the gaps, and it just evades Amy Campbell running around just trying to take that catch, but she just wasn't. Another couple of yards and she might have stood more of a chance there.
It's all respond. It was quicker and trying a wide Yorker, I think, but Wellington's managed to squeeze that away, and that's wide of cover for 4, using the pace against Hall. What a shot this is from Wellington, showing all of her improvisation and tricks here.
Yeah, and the faster it comes, the more Amanda Jade Wellington likes it. She likes the pace on the ball so that she can just use the pace, and she does it very well. She's hit 2 lovely shots now, one over extra cover and one over cover for 4 runs, and they're 2 top quality shots. It would appear we might have lost the ball or something here. The umpire is moving off the
going across to assist
pitch for 7 more balls.
And just on that note, Amanda Jade Wellington has one of, if not pretty much right up there, the highest strike rate against seam of anyone in English women's domestic cricket in the last 3 years. She absolutely loves not just that pace on the ball, but often manipulating it behind square with your loops, your laps, your whatever you want to call it, your reverses. She's got all sorts of tricks in the locker, so very difficult to set field to. And will find a way to stop the rampaging Wellington. He can, off the final ball, which to Yorkshire's great relief is a dot. With 1 over to go of this rain-reduced 38 over side contest.
56 deliveries,
199 for 5.
Beth Langston to bowl the last over from the city end.
Change of ends for Langston. None for 24 or 4 from
from the city
spell.
end, Beth Langston.
And a 5th over went for 9.
It's a glorious afternoon at this moment in time, weather-wise.
Should say as well, Jonathan bowled out 8 overs, 1 maiden, 24 for 3.
Yeah.
Continuing her excellent campaign with the ball. She's up to 14 wickets in 7 games. Winston to finish the innings. And Winfield Hill feels like there's a nick on that, and there is. What a take from Winfield Hill. Not an easy skill that. Off the edge of Sweet's bat, and Francesca Sweet goes for exactly 50, 199 for 6 in the final over.
Yeah, great piece of cricket there from Yorkshire. Beth Langston will have bowled that ball to Lauren Winfield Hill on many occasions, so they knew exactly what they were trying to do, and just nicked the edge of Sweet's bat and taken very well by Lauren Winfield Hill behind the stumps, and we'll see in this replay as Beth Langston comes in there. Winfield Hill, head still, come up with the ball, and there she is.
Number 8 for Hampshire,
Takes
Megan
the
Sturge.
catch, and the umpire Gary Cross has no hesitation, and that goes.
Sensational bit of wicket keeping after what was a sensational partnership coming together at 127 for 5. Those two have added 72 runs off just 48 balls. It might be the kind of partnership that defines the match. really stretched the game away from Yorkshire somewhat. Sturge first ball. There's appeals against her. I think it was always dribbling down leg. And Sturge batted just once, batted twice this season, I should say, been out once. 10 against Lancashire, 1 not out against Somerset. Product of the Kent pathway, she's from Margate. Part of the South East Stars Academy and then the Vipers Academy. Lone spell at her home county Kent last season in Tier 2. Sturge can't find a run there. She's got just 3 balls left to try and fashion what she can. And if you're Wellington, you're desperate for the strike here.
Yeah, this is where, you know, young players have to learn quite quickly. Look where the spaces are. There's a big space on the onside. All you've got to do is just drop the ball onto that leg side and run the single. And give Amanda Jade Wellington the strike. But at the moment, she just seems to be trying to hit it almost too hard. She gets the single there.
Yeah, and Wellington was entirely uninterested in the prospect of 2, and rightly so. There was probably only 1.5 there anyway. And of course, 1.5 was 1 in the run out. So 2 balls left for Wellington, who's looked $1 million for yet another of her fabulous finishers knocks. Langston do. It's the unusual and alternative way that Wellington bats so often. Wellington will want 2, and they've got to try and come back for 2. You'd think surely going to be a run out, is a run out. So Sturgis comfortably run out for 1 of 4, doing the right thing in the scenario, getting Wellington back on strike for the final ball. Neat work from Yorkshire though. Langston all too happy to whip off the bails. 201 for 7 with 1 ball left.
I'm not always convinced that's the right thing to do at this stage because they know DLS has got to come into play. Every time you lose a wicket, that's going to be in your favour from a Yorkshire perspective. So it's either 1 run or a wicket, and then, 2 runs and a wicket. And what she's ended up with 1 run, but a wicket to Yorkshire. So Yorkshire will be happy with that they've now picked up another wicket in the quest to try and make the score less that they'll have to chase. And they've got probably a similar scenario coming up as well with this very last ball of the innings.
Credit to Stair Callis, who was all sorts of calm and composed in the field. Great throw on the bounce. So Amanda Jade Wellington to face up. Poppy Tullett, 20-year-old, is at the other end. And Wellington, cool as a cucumber, leaves it alone, takes the wide. Sensible batting from Amanda Jade Wellington, who is kind of one of these cricketers that sort of led the charge on her social media output as well, in terms of building yourself and being more accessible to fans and letting fans into what life is like behind the scenes. She's got 1 ball to face, 1 legitimate ball to face, and this time it is a legitimate ball, and she gets it over extra cover, and it could well go for 4 despite the slow outfield. Campbell in pursuit, does manage to keep it in. Nicely timed dive. There's Boyce to do the rest of it. They've run for 3 and they've got through for 3. So what a lovely finisher's cameo from Amanda Jade Wellington. She finishes with 41 not out from just 27. Yet another of her trademark knocks in that regard, and it lifts Hampshire up to 205 off 7, 205 for 7 off 38. There will be a little DLS adjustment to make that target a bit higher. Just before we sign off for the innings break, a few thoughts from former England captain Dr. Jane Powell.
Yeah, I think that's a good total by Hampshire. They'll be pleased with that, and it'll be game on. They had a very good middle few overs where Georgie Adams only got 1 run. You know, you'd normally expect her to chip in with 30, 40 runs easily. So they'll be pleased with those middle overs, and they'll be waiting now, or looking forward to going for the chase of these 2, whatever their total is. We'll wait to hear what that total is.
So Hampshire looking to make it 5 wins from 7 games. Target listed as 213. So Hampshire have been given an extra 7 runs on DLS. Yorkshire looking to make it a 3rd win from 7. We've had the tea break, so this will be a very short mid-innings change. We'll see you for the run chase in not too long.
Umpires Gareth Cross and Julia Giles. Georgia Adams leading our Hampshire. Georgie Boyce and Lauren Whitfield.
Welcome back to York Cricket Club, where we are just about to get the run chase up and running. Yorkshire will have a DLS adjusted target of 213 to chase down in 38 overs to win this game. My name is Aaron Files. Alongside me is the wonderful Dr. Jane Powell, and yeah, we're just looking over to our right, Jane. A few more ominous clouds just beginning to lurk compared to the languid sunshine we experienced then.
We're all right this time around. Being a weather girl that I am this afternoon, I think we'll be okay. Looks quite high, so hoping that this will be a complete innings of 38. You know, what you don't want is these games to keep being shortened and scores and targets being adjusted. We've already lost 12 overs per side, so Hampshire had to deal with that and dealt very well with it, I might add, particularly Sweet and Jade Wellington, and Amanda Jade Wellington towards the end, who put on a considerable number of runs, 70-odd runs in 40-odd balls. So Lauren Winfield Hill and Georgie Boyce will be looking to get Yorkshire off to a solid start, and then leaving plenty of space for their middle order batters to come in and play some shots.
Here we go then. It's Daisy Gibb with the first ball up here to Winfield Hill. Starts off with a dot ball. Just looking at the field, appears to be, well, it was initially a 5-4. It may have just turned to a 6-3. Indeed it has. The mid-on, slightly shortish mid-wicket and backward square. There's one slip ready and waiting. That is the Hampshire captain, Georgia Adams. Slightly wider, chopped down towards deep third by Field Hill. Gets her off the mark, and Yorkshire up and running in the run chase.
Yeah, just angled down there, just to open the face of the bat. That's a pretty standard opener's shot at the start of an innings, just to get the score moving. So a good shot there from Lauren Winfield Hill. Georgie Boyce will potentially look to do a similar thing, just to keep the score moving. Gibb generating some decent pace here as she comes in.
Here she is against Boyce. Boyce leaves that one well alone. Of course, the Yorkshire opener. She would love an innings of real size and substance today. Scored 3 against Surrey, 4 against Lancashire, 18 against Durham, 17 in that previous game against Essex at Headingley. So certainly be looking to increase that tally for the season alongside her captain. This will be an interesting challenge early doors against Daisy Gibb. To just caress that one through the covers. A good diving stop there by Datani against any runs from being scored.
Yeah, I think Georgie Boyce played in that England development 11 as well, didn't she, against New Zealand earlier this week or last week against New Zealand up at Durham.
Yep, Phoebe Brett also played in that game. Took a career best fifer as well, which is really good to see.
Yes.
Left arm finger spinner, formerly of Worcestershire, now of Warwickshire. And slightly shorter in length from Gibb and allows for the escape outlet from Boyce. A similar shot to what we saw from Winfield Hill with regards to direction.
Yeah, and I talk about that being sort of the easy openers, get off the mark shot, and that's why you very often will start with 1 or even 2 slips, because if you don't get that right, then there's going to be that edge that will carry through to first slip. So both of these have played that shot now, so they'll be feeling that they've seen their pace a little bit better.
That latest delivery has Winfield Hill covering up on the defence. A really tidy start that from Daisy Gibb and Hampshire. Just 2 runs conceded from the first over of the run chase. Yorkshire are 2 without loss.
Yeah, good over from Daisy Gibb, getting Hampshire off to a very good start. That's exactly what her team will want. They want to keep pressure on right from the start. She's done exactly that. Yorkshire and Hampshire will both be keeping their eyes on DLS scores to check that they're ahead of it or near it, so that should there be any rain, that they'll be in a position where they're within hitting distance, striking distance of it.
Well, coming on to bowl then from the City ends, we'll see a bit of spin early doors, courtesy of Bex Tyson in a left arm orthodox from the opposing end. Will be Georgie Boyce up first to face this latest ball for the White Rose. Here is Tyson then bowling to Boyce. Starts off with a dot ball. Spoke already about Tyson so far this season. He's had a couple of really good performances against Surrey and Warwickshire respectively. Took 3 for 60 against the Brown Caps and 3 for 66 against the Bears. So took 1 for 41 against Essex early doors in the competition. But you look in the past 2 games, none for 28 against Lancashire and none for 36 against Somerset. So she will be hoping to add to that wicket-taking tally, as that one was well short of mid-on.
Yeah, that's it's the sort of shot you'd be looking to play, but you've got to keep your shape, and Georgie Boyce just lost her shape there, and bottom hand came through very early and very quickly. Fortunately for her, she did sort of not sweetly time it, and it fell in front of that mid-on fielder.
Here is Tyson again to Boyce. Boyce looks to drill that one wide of mid-off, but stopped by Amanda Jade Wellington. I mean, that really was an impressive, I wouldn't even call it a cameo, that was a proper innings towards the end, wasn't it, from the Australian, showcasing all of that enterprise and orthodoxy. It proved to be a really important unbeaten 41.
Yeah, it's a very good knock and a very telling knock, and very well played by Amanda Jade Wellington. He seems to do that on a regular basis. Certainly wasn't a one-off, that's for sure.
Boyce that time just leans into the shot, caresses it out through point for the single. Yet But again, it's another fine over as far as Hampshire are concerned. Just the solitary run conceded from the second. Yorkshire are 3 without loss.
Yeah, another good over from Hampshire, and they'll be delighted with this start from their opening partnership of Gibb and mine's gone blank. Tyson, sorry, beg your pardon. Gibb and Tyson with the 2 runs off the first over, 1 run off the second over, so 3 is the total. And Georgie Boyce is, with that last run off the last ball, maintained strike, so she's now facing Gibb as she comes in from the rugby stand-in.
It's a good delivery, first up by Daisy Gibb. Just to give you a little bit more of an introduction, really, to Gibb, for those who maybe aren't quite au fait or familiar with her game. Just 20 years old is the Pembury-born seam bowler. Attended Hurstpierpoint College, which is down towards Sussex way, product of the Martlets pathway. Made a senior debut for the club in a T20 Cup match against Essex in 2021. Took figures of 3 for 4 in that game as well. Here she is bowling to Georgie Boyce. Yet another dot ball. Boyce was also a member of the Southern Vipers Academy in that same season. Was awarded her first professional contract with Hampshire in 2025. So certainly someone to watch out for heading into the future. That one played very straight by Georgie Boyce. A single down towards the aforementioned Amanda Jade Wellington.
A nice shot there, straight down the ground, and almost starts the run as she finishes playing that, and that's a very safe single, even if it's going to the fielder, as long as you go straight away.
Just prepares to charge in here from the rugby ground end. Again, that one played back down the ground by Winfield Hill. It's been a watchful, careful start this from the Yorkshire openers. And of course, as much as we've already discussed Duckworth Lewis Stern throughout this game, of course, it does have quite a profound impact once wickets start tumbling.
It really does, and that's probably in the back of their minds, but at the same time, you've got to maintain a little bit of pressure on the bowlers. And that's worked nicely around square leg, and they come through for the single.
Indeed it will be.
I mean, you've got to show some intent when you're batting, and intent doesn't mean you're playing big shots all the time. It means that I just work the ball into the space, and we can rotate the strike and just take a single off each ball. If you took a single off each ball, you'd be way ahead of any target, because that's 6 balls, six runs in and over. And sometimes I think we get into the mindset of looking for big shots all the time when we just need to keep the score ticking over.
Boyce this time looking to drive that one through another point. Can't quite do so. Stopped by Poppy Tulloch. So that'll be a dot ball to round out the third over. Hampshire's tidy start with the ball continues. Yorkshire are 5 without loss after 3.
And that last shot was a real case in point. It was really well played, but played straight to the fielder, and there was no single there. So it's a dot ball. At the end of the day, it's a dot ball. You either score runs or you don't, and that was a dot ball. So it doesn't matter how nicely you played it, you've got to try and put it into the gap so that you can keep the score ticking over. I guess it's one of my little platforms, really. It's just like, stop looking for big shots all the time, but look where the spaces are in the field. Play it into the space, run first, run hard, see if you can pick up more than a single each time. And then as you do that, once you start doing that, pressure will come. A bowler may then feel a bit more pressure and give you a loose one that you can hit for the boundary.
Here is Tyson to resume from the city end. And here to Winfield Hill. Again, just playing the ball very much on its merits for the time being. We all know the former England international is capable of, though. Shown it on many an occasion over the years. Of course, has also displayed it on numerous occasions so far this summer as well. As Winfield Hill advances, lofts that one over the top. And will bounce a couple of times over the rope for four. A lovely shot down towards the covers and the trees on the opposing side of the ground here at Clifton Park. And that right there, Jane, a real signal of intent just to meet the pitch of the ball.
That's almost, if you saw that shot and you asked who played it, you wouldn't need to look at the answer, because that's Lauren Winfield Hill's standard shot. You know, a great shot, gets there, moves her feet, hits it straight over the field, is there. And then she tries to go onto her back foot and just gets there almost too early, and as a result couldn't manoeuvre that onto the offside where she was looking, and just got it to come round. Bottom hand came through and it just dropped down in front of her.
Again, just takes a couple of steps down, a little shuffle down the pitch.
And that's good bowling, because good batting, good bowling, because she's looking to show some intent and go there, but realised she wasn't quite there because Tyson put the ball a little bit shorter, and so good cricket.
Well, that one, again, aerial, just goes over the top of the pursuing Wellington. And that'll be four more. So that's a couple of boundaries in this over. First real sign of aggression shown by Lauren Winfield Hill. The Yorkshire captain moves on to 10. The White Rose on to 13.
Yeah, again, not quite as well hit as her first shot that she played there, but certainly good enough to get over the this field that is having to be set for the first power play, where you're only allowed 2 fielders out. So there's sort of high risk and low risk shots, and for Lauren Winfield Hill, that's what you call a medium risk shot, because she knows that she's got the power to hit it over there. The problem comes is if she doesn't quite middle it.
This time goes on the reverse, pops up. There's an appeal from Tyson. Just evades Rihanna Southby with the gloves, and that will be the end of the over. A much more bountiful one for the home side. Yorkshire move on to 13 without loss after 4.
Yeah, and those two boundaries make a difference to the score, the total score, and it means that you feel that Yorkshire is starting to get the score ticking over. They now require 200, so they're almost down to into the 100 and plus runs, but it's just little milestones that you tick off as you go through. But Gibb is bowling very well, and she's only gone for 4 runs off 2 overs, so she'll be looking to maintain that as she goes into this, her 3rd over.
Here is Gibb then, bowling up first to Georgie Boyce. Which just plays that one down the ground to Wellington for no run. Of course, Daisy Gibb as well was the wild card pick for the Oval Invincibles for last year's iteration of the 100. As we said, someone who has got a very, very bright future ahead of her in the game. Of course, with Freya Davies retiring, she's also got that additional responsibility here at Hampshire heading into the future. That one glances down the leg side. Wide will be signalled by the standing umpire.
Yeah, she looks like she's got a nice action, you know, it looks nice and easy. Little bit of a skip part way in her run-up, but, you know, that's okay. You're allowed to be an individual, you're allowed to do your own things there, as long as it doesn't affect the execution end of bowling, which is by the crease. And it looks nice and compact, and looks like she follows through straight to the line of where she wants the ball to go.
It's another dot ball. Bowling plenty early doors is the opening bowler for the visitors. Of course, as Michael mentioned earlier as well, of course, one of the changes for this game didn't play in the victory against Somerset. Last played against Lancashire, took 2 for 15 in that game against the Red Rose. So, again, she'll be looking to add to her current tally of 3 for the season. The other wicket coming at Edgbaston against Warwickshire. She got figures of 1 for 50. There's a huge appeal there for Gibb. And in the end, the Yorkshire batters will scarper through. Leg bye signalled by the umpire.
Yeah, and I think Lauren Winfield-Hill keen to rotate the strike there, and the minute she saw that, and we'll see here on the replay, as the ball comes in, it's swinging quite away, and looks like it could be just be missing leg stump. If you look where the wicketkeeper finished, as it hit the batter's pads, she was well down outside leg stumps, which is usually an indication of the angle of the ball.
That one a nice length bowl by Daisy Gibb.
Yeah, she's got decent pace, you know, she's got a good action. It should be repeatable, and she's showing a good form here.
Also the seam presentation on the in-swinger, that's something which immediately you look for with any opening bowler. Let's just tail it back in to Georgie Boyce.
It's nice to see all these in-swing bowlers after the likes of Anya Shrubsole led the way in 2017. It's nice to see all these young players coming in who can swing the ball quite considerably into the batter.
Ooh, that one slightly off the edge there of Winfield-Hill's bats. Races down towards deep third for the single. Of course, as well, during the lunch break here at York, actually the replay of the 2017 World Cup final was being shown, which I thought was lovely.
Yes. No, I was there. You know, it's one of those where you go, yeah, I was there. Where were you when we won the World Cup in 2017? Mind you, I've seen every women's version of the World Cup. So I saw the first one in 1973. So everyone that's been in this country I've seen. So I've been very fortunate, really.
Here is Gibb to round out the over to Georgie Boyce. We'll finish with a dot ball. So Gibb continues to just stifle the run-scoring efforts of Yorkshire here. 5 overs have been bowled. In this, the run chase. The White Rose are 16 without loss. And, yeah, of course, that was historic, wasn't it? 1973, the first.
The first one, Edgbaston, the final.
Indeed it was.
Yeah, that was a great win for England, and really set the tone, I think, for English women's cricket. You know, I know that lots of people think that women's cricket only started in the 2000s, but it was going very strongly before that as well. So nice to see the girls. I'm looking forward to seeing them play in this Home World Cup coming up this summer.
Most definitely. Of course, involvement with players of both of these counties for England, the Netherlands, Scotland as well. Tyson bowls here to Winfield-Hill, and Winfield-Hill drills that down the ground, gun barrel straight for 4. Another imperious shot, courtesy of the Yorkshire captain.
That's probably her best shot to date, you know. Straight along the ground, straight down, past the stumps. No need to run for that, and you can see that. Lovely shot there. But she's having to, look where she's meeting that ball. She's a good 2 meters down the crease, so she's having to use her feet and make sure she meets that ball on the half volley. And with that, she then picks up a shorter one, rocks onto her back foot and hits it out to deep mid-wicket for 1 run.
And that delivery, as a spinner, comes courtesy of the first one, because she's had to adjust the length, she's had to pull it back, because Winfield-Hill, the previous delivery, has met the pitch of the ball itself, so it does allow for those opportunities. Of course, pulling spinners at times can be a little bit risky. Boyce this time so decides to have a little bit of a shuffle, especially with the field placed as it is. You've got that fielder just lurking in mid-wicket, so you've got to direct it well. As the batter, it's a little bit of a moral victory. As that one straight up in the air, invading Pace Tyson. For a split second, she was interested. Would have taken an almighty dive, an almighty effort to get even remotely close to that, but a lot better. Just drawing the leading edge there of Boyce's blade. Boyce this time utilising the feet in fantastic style, and Elan, a languid shot down the ground, and the boundaries now after a slow and uncharacteristically watchful start, Jane, beginning to flow with more regularity.
Yeah, and I was just starting to think, you know, Boyce with 3 runs off 19 balls has really got to start looking to score runs, because you can't just keep taking up balls. You know, the number of dot balls in an innings is the deciding factor often in 2 teams, and who wins out.
That'll be a dot ball to round out the over. It's another very good one as far as Yorkshire are concerned. 9 runs come from it. The home side 25 without loss after 6.
Yeah, and that was a much better over with the 2 fours coming off it, and one from Hill, Winfield Hill, and one from Bryce. And they're starting to show that if you're confident and move your feet to the pitch of the ball almost, that you can play through your shot. And that's exactly what they need to keep doing now and keep accelerating. The run rate at the moment is 4.17, and the required run rate is up to 5.8, I think it was.
Yeah, 5.8, 5.9, 5.88
There we go.
to be specific. Here is Gibb then to Winfield Hill. That one up in the air, almost caught by
Yeah.
McCoggan.
Half a chance there.
Goes for 4 out towards deep square leg, but again for a moment, Hampshire very much interested.
It's a cruel game, isn't it? Because that was like, there's half a chance, and all of a sudden it's 4 runs, and you just think the difference between success and failure at this game is so small at times.
It's a good effort, wasn't it, from McCoggan, just bursting through
Yeah.
the fingers at full stretch. And thunders into the pad there of Winfield Hill.
Hazel Gibb coming in from this rugby and is bowling extremely well. She's bowled 3.2 overs and only gone for 10 runs, of which one was that first ball of this over that could so easily have been a wicket. So she'll be pleased with the way that she's performing at this moment in time, but will be wanting to make the breakthrough for her team.
Is that one another dot ball?
And, you know, both sides are allowed to play well. So, you know, if the bowler's bowling well, the bowler's bowling well, you know, and you've got to try and find a way as the batting team. But the bowler is putting the pressure on and doing what she needs to do for her team.
Certainly has been a strong start for Daisy Gibb. She'd love to just get that first wicket in the column. One flicked down the leg side by the Yorkshire captain. A single 2 out of the tally. In terms of DLS as well. The score currently stands around about 21, of course. It does change very, very quickly if it's full. This has been a solid opening stand between the 2 Yorkshire batters. That one a real flash of the bats from Georgie Boyce.
Yeah, I think she's not exactly sort of on top form, and I think she's feeling like, well, I might as well just go for my shots, you know, because she's faced 22 balls now and got 7 runs, so the strike rate will be minimal at this stage, and she'll be wanting to try and accelerate that, not just for herself, but for the team more importantly.
Final ball of the over. Boyce, that one a lot more authoritative. I don't think it'll go for 4. towards forward mid-wicket. In fact, it will just be 2. That'll be the end of the 7th over. So Yorkshire 32 without loss. Reminder, of course, of that target. It's 213 after the adjustments of the Duckworth-Lewis Stern. So White Rose require a further 181 for the victory in the remaining 31 overs.
Yeah, in fact, that was probably the most expensive over that Gibbs has bowled. I think she's bowled very well, you know, but the batters now have seen 7 overs, so they've seen 42 balls. So you'd hope that they start to pick up the pace of the bowling, the pace of the wicket, all those things that you're not quite sure when you're going out there. They should now have picked that up, and they'll be starting to adjust their stance, their approach to the next ball that's coming down. And with that, then the left arm seam of Naomi Datani is coming on from the city end, which will mean that the batter will have to just adjust their stance slightly more as well, because a left arm seam bowler tends to come into the right hander's hip, so probably a little bit more open with the left foot just to be able to combat that.
Here is Datani up first to Winfield Hill. And that one races off the edge down towards deep third. Single scored down towards Bex Tyson. Yeah, Datani so far this season took 2 for 43 against Essex, 1 for 63 against Warwickshire, 2 for 73 in the previous game against Somerset, and by far and away the best figures, 2 for 14 against Durham. So certainly someone who can provide a key breakthrough or two. As Boyce mullers that one down the grounds, takes a couple of steps just to admire her own work. Smart fielding as well by the groundsman down there. 4 more for Yorkshire.
It seems to be going a little bit darker out there. I think one of the things you see when the scorers flick the light on from the scoreboard, it's really bright now in this weather because of the overhead sort of conditions.
It's definitely gone a lot gloomier. That one turned around the corner. Well directed shot that by Georgie Boyce down towards the aforementioned Gibb.
And that's what I call good cricket. You've hit the previous ball for 4 and the space, just turn one round the corner. There's always a single by turning one round the corner, and that's exactly what she did. And they've now rotated the strike. So Datani will know that Winfield Hill would prefer a different ball to Georgie Boyce would prefer.
Winfield Hill just tries to guide that away on the offside. As far as controlling Abby Norgrove. Scored there. Of course, this was an issue with Hampshire's innings, when we did see the rain clouds just hovering overhead. Precipitation started to fall. Saw not 1 but 2 wickets fall just as the players were coming off for a delay. So Yorkshire will not want a repeat of that. Winfield Hill leaves that one well alone. Wide is signalled by the umpire. Gareth Cross it is, the standing umpire, along with Julia Jarvis, who's currently at square leg. Always tell by the behaviour of the spectators as well when they suddenly start ambling towards the clubhouse.
Towards the clubhouse.
It's a telltale sign, isn't it? It's been a funny day though with the weather. Winfield Hill tries to crash that one away. Through point.
Yeah, the right shot to play, but it probably just needs to open the face slightly and place that between point and cover, and that's the intricacies at this level of scoring runs. You know, when you're young, you just play the shot and you're not thinking about where you're hitting it, you're just hitting it. But as you progress up into tier 1, then you've got to start thinking about not only how you play it, but where you're playing it.
Yeah, just looking out the window, I think it is starting to spit. And let's hope it doesn't evolve into getting heavier in the rain department. Tarney bowls here to Winfield Hill. That one down the leg side, wide immediately signalled, and Boyce will jog home for the extra run. So far, these two doing a fine job just to lay that foundation, provide the platform for the home side in what is a big game early doors. They are to maintain pace alongside the rest of that pack. Search for a top 3 spot. Win today would be very big indeed, as Boyce runs that down to deep third. With a single taken, of course, Hampshire, it would be a huge scalp. They are definitely one of the form teams in the Metrobank One Day Cup. As we see the end of the over, 8 have been bowled. Yorkshire are 42 without loss.
Yeah, big over that from a Yorkshire perspective, even though it didn't appear to go for that many runs. It went for 10 runs, I think. So, you know, that's a big over in the context of this game, especially as we look over to the right, and it looks fairly set in, I'm afraid, coming forward, as most of the field, most of the spectators are definitely starting to walk this way. I can see some Yorkshire staff members definitely walking around this way now.
Yeah, there's the sense of inevitability that there will be some rain of some kind, as Georgia Adams, the Hampshire captain, has ball in hand here for the round 8. Great to see her back.
Daisy Gibbs made a very good spell there for Hampshire. That ball just evades from under Jade Wellington. There's a chase on, but the ball just wins.
Yes, indeed. Partnership now moves on to 46 between Boyce and Winfield Hill, and Boyce, who was the more watchful of the two, well, she's starting to just go through the gears. To Adams to reply here. One whicked away and towards deep mid-wicket for one. Boyce moves into the 20s. See, that's how quickly it can change as a batter.
Yes, I do sort of think she was going a bit too slowly, but now she's getting up to speed, so she'll be pleased with that, as will her team.
Here is Adams to Winfield Hill, the battle of the captains for the first time today. Fielded by Datani, just for the single.
Yeah, I mean, are there players you like? Yes, there is. I like Georgie Adams as a player. I think she's got a really good cricketing brain. She seems to lead her side well, and she usually contributes with bat and with ball. You know, I followed her down with New South Wales, and she did very well down there in the Women's National League in Australia this winter, and she's just coming back from injury, so she won't be at match play at the moment, but she's just got that ability to contribute to the game.
She is to Winfield Hill again. Winfield Hill fancies, just plays that on the deck for no run. Megan Sturge does the fielding on that latest delivery. Make that back-to-back dot balls to round out the over. So Adams' first one goes for 7. Yorkshire move on to 49 without loss after 9. This is why, yet again, Jane, ELS could be so important. Once we also get beyond this over, we will be guaranteed a result as well. You have to play 10 overs in the run chase for it to
From the city
locked
end, Amanda J.
results as
Wellington.
opposed to abandonment or no result. So after this, we will be getting something from this encounter. As Amanda Jade Wellington prepares to bowl here from the city end, replacing Naomi Datani. Now will be an interesting matchup. Boyce it will be to face off against the first delivery of the leg spinner. Stopped with a tumble by Norgrove. Just the single.
And that's 50 up for Yorkshire with that single in the 10th over.
Indeed it is. So providing that no further wickets fall by the end of this over, par score after 10 would be 31. That one plenty of flights. If a wicket falls in this over, suddenly it becomes 42. If 2 wickets were to fall, Yorkshire would be behind. It becomes 56. So this is why wickets are so important when it comes to the Duckworth-Lewis Stern. Winfield Hill crashes that one away through mid-wicket for 1.
You might be lucky. It looks like that rain is starting to skirt rather than come straight for us.
As we said, it's been a really funny day with the weather, so we have got quite a nice view of York itself. And it seems like for the entirety of the day, it has been chucking it down towards the city.
Yes.
And yet we've had, don't get me wrong, some very heavy rain. We've also had a hail shower as well, but it's not been that consistent to what we've seen out the window to the south of us. A funny country, isn't it, England, when it comes to the weather?
Definitely. And we do spend a lot of time talking about it as well.
Certainly do. It's natural, isn't it? Can be such a deciding factor when it comes to the greatest game ever invented. It's Boyce goes onto the back foot. There's a half appeal there by Wellington for the caught behind, but I think the reaction there of Southby, the keeper, told you everything you needed to know. Even so, strong start that from the Aussie. Concedes just 2 runs from her first over. Yorkshire are 51 without loss.
Yeah, and a good solid start at this stage, you know, with 10 overs gone. Roughly keeping up with the run rate. But, you know, the key thing is that if you keep wickets on the board, then you've got the chance to accelerate if you need to. But if these two just keep going along at this pace, then that'll be what Yorkshire would want at this stage.
Change of ends here for Naomi Datani. Prepared to bowl here from the rugby ground end. And for those who don't know why we keep on referring to it as the rugby ground end, there is quite literally a rugby ground just to the right. So that's why. Of course, the opposing side, the city end, because if you were to continue in that direction, head to the beautiful city of York itself, and it really is as pretty as a picture on a day like today. Minster always looks incredibly impressive. Here's the Tani then to Winfield Hill. That one aerial just dropped by Megan Sturge. Again, that could prove to be a big moment. Going to her right, just burst through the fingers. Winfield Hill gets another life.
Yeah, I think that was more of a life than the first one. I think that was definitely 2 hands to it. We'll see in this, potentially in this replay, where she just pulls across it and both hands on it, but couldn't keep hold of it as she tumbled to the ground.
That one, good stop in the covers by Poppy Tulloch. Again, I mean, that could change things very, very quickly. Field Hill, you'd argue, probably the key wicket as far as Hampshire are concerned. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of batting with the likes of Jonathan, Callis, Campbell as well, who has a fine record here at Clifton Park, but yeah, the captain, always a prized wicket.
Yeah.
It's a good ball from Datani.
And that's that left-hander's over the wicket that drifts away from the right-handed bat. And that was a good ball from Naomi Datani.
Certainly is. Keeping Boyce on her toes there. Just to make the comparison as well, we'll give you that at the end of this over as to where Hampshire were at the same stage. Just looking at it on paper, it's pretty close. Very full. Just can't quite get the desired shot away.
Yeah, she's going from sticky moments to glorious moments, isn't she? There's no sort of in between with Georgie Boyce. It's, you know, plays glorious shots, but then goes through a patch where she doesn't look like she can score singles or anything. And she's quite, she must be a difficult person to bowl at because of that, because she must think that you're almost on top and then she'll just hit you. I think this is her highest score for the season.
Indeed it is, yep. We spoke about that before, didn't we? DJP. 18 against Durham was the previous best. Came from 38 deliveries, so we'll just provide Georgie Boyce with that extra degree of confidence. Of course, she's a far better player than scores of 20 or 25. Someone who is more than capable, more than adept, getting at least those 50-plus scores. Here she is against the Tani again. That one will be signalled as a wide. It's again, though, decent over this as far as Hampshire are concerned. Just the one run off the bat, and of course that's the latest extra conceded. Needs to see out the over.
Yeah, much better over this for Mary Gaetano. She obviously prefers this end. There isn't a slope on the pitch, if anybody's thinking that. So it's nice and flat out here at York. So no reason why anyone would prefer one end or the other.
That one a more authoritative shot from Boyce. Stopped well by Adams. That will be a dot ball to round out the over. So after 11, Yorkshire are 53 without loss. And we go back to that comparison to where Hampshire are at. After 11 overs, the Rose and Crown were 52 without loss. So Yorkshire currently one run ahead in that comparison.
I think we've been lucky. I'm going to say it now because I think the rain has drifted that way. So I think that's good for us for this game of cricket, and it's got brighter, so that's always a good sign.
It is, and some spectators have gone over to the benches, so again, a positive omen. Let's hope that the rain does indeed stay away. Here is Wellington to Winfield Hill, opens up the arms, goes for the expansive shots, and that will be four. Delightful from the Yorkshire captain.
Yeah, she seems to prefer going down the ground with her shots. When she goes through with it, she hits some absolutely beautiful shots, and that's one there that just wasn't anywhere near a fielder and was just into all the space. One of the safest areas on the field to hit is back over the bowler's head, because you don't very often have a fielder right behind the bowler, and that's exactly what she did. Kept her shape and just hit down the ground. Now, Amanda Jade Wellington will come back from that. You'll see here, she'll just vary it now.
It's a good delivery. Next up, really testing the defences of Winfield Hill. The other thing as well that I do think we need to mention, it hasn't really spun today, has it? At least from our vantage point here. Being down at what is essentially long leg. Even just looking on the monitor, there hasn't been exaggerated turn on offer for any of the spin bowlers, really.
No, I guess what I would say with Jonathan and with Wellington and with Cooper is that often you beat players in the flight. So there's two armories to the spin bowlers, and that's another one straight back down over the bowler's head for another straight lofted drive for four. So, you know, with a spinner, you want primarily the ball to spin, but if the ball's not spinning, then you want to put as many revolutions on as you can to get flight and dip. And one of the things that will beat a lot of players is that dip on the ball. It's a bit like top spin in tennis, you know, the more revolutions you can put on, the more it will dip. And with that, then you'll beat players in the flight. So don't be mistaken into thinking it's not turning, so they're not effective. They've been effective purely because of that.
It's again that one down the ground by Winfield Hill. You could just see the two Hampshire fielders almost.
Yeah, getting straighter and straighter, aren't they?
It's premeditated. I think it was Francesca Sweet, the fielder at what was mid-off, has now moved back onto the boundary. That one played very late by Winfield Hill. Very fine as well, down towards deep third. So that will be a single to round out the over. 9 runs scored from it. Yorkshire 62 without loss after 12.
Yeah, and that, even though, you know, that looked quite a tricky shot, because she played it so late, then it was quite safe to run it down there. I wouldn't say it was necessarily deliberate, but it was certainly effective, and is different to an inside edge that runs down to fine leg. That's the key thing there. Often when you play a shot and you get an inside edge and it comes down through fine leg, that's the frustrating one for the bowlers, but that was quite well played there by Winfield Hill. Dattani to continue from the rugby ground end. There's a semblance of the sun trying to break through.
Key there being tried, unsuccessful for the time being. Can't but hope.
Always. I'm always half full. Cup me, not a half empty. Don't see any point in that.
Good attitude to have, Jane.
See the best in everything and everybody. Can be disappointed though as you go through life.
Oh, of
but,
course.
At the same time, it's the best way to be. As Dattani comes in once more, with her left arm over the wicket.
Oh, it was aerial, it was uppish, wasn't it? As it sliced away down towards deep backward point. Just one run between the Yorkshire batters. I think that the change of ends has certainly abetted Naomi Dattani here.
Yeah, she's bowling very well from this end. She's causing a few little thoughts for the batters. You know, what you want is the batter to have to think every single ball. You know, you've got the two options. You've got the, you know, sort of put it on the line and length, nagging, or you vary it a little bit and keep the batter thinking about what shot they're about to play. It's driven off the back foot, but can't get it past the fielder. And this is the area where Georgie Boyce is struggling a little bit to try and penetrate through the field on this offside. She's played some glorious shots, but on this offside she seems to have hit the field. She's played some good shots that have gone straight to fielders, and she'll be frustrated a little bit with that. She'll be wanting to avoid those fielders.
We'll touch upon that after this next delivery from Dattani. That's that one very full. Yorker lengthens. Always just jams the bat down on it. For yourself, Jane, from a batter's perspective, going into the psychological aspect of the game, how do you overcome that in the middle? The frustration of, let's say that you have gone a few overs, you're not finding those gaps with consistency. How do you maintain that even keel and not allow those frustrations to just tickle over into your game?
Yeah, I think you just have to build your innings, you know, so come back to that. Is just look where there is a space and just rotate the strike. If she'd played that one just onto the offside, just in front of her, they could have taken a single there. So, you know, just keep rotating the strike, because eventually you'll get a ball right in the slot you want it, and you'll be able to play your favourite shot to a ball that you want to play it off. At the moment, she's trying to force balls that aren't necessarily in a hitting zone into areas where they're being occupied by fielders. So you just have to keep saying to yourself, stay here and play your shots.
And that is going to be out. Dattani has got Hampshire's first. Georgie Boyce going for an expansive shot. Tickles it behind to Rihanna Southby. And Yorkshire now 63 for 1 after 13. Well, the change of ends certainly having the desired impact for Dattani and the visitors. That is a big wicket. Georgie Boyce gone for 22.
Georgie Boyce was caught for the wicket by Rihanna Southby.
Boyce departs the field of play.
Dattani for 22.
The one of Yorkshire's prized wickets or prized batters.
And batting number 3 for
Now
Yorkshire,
into the middle,
Jess
Jess Jonathan, someone who already has 2 centuries in the Metro Bank One Day Cup campaign so far. First one coming in the Roses match against Lancashire, and the next one, brilliant century against Durham. also have a change here in the comms box as Dr. Jane Powell goes for a very well-earned break, and in her place in a few moments' time will be the brilliant Michael McCann. Will be Amanda Jade Wellington. Continue her spell on the City end. And over that was from Datani. It's the solitary run conceded, and the wicket of Georgie Boyce. We do welcome Michael.
Thank you very much, Aaron. There's a Hampshire analyst a few yards away to our right whose heartbeat has just slowed a little after that wicket, and I'd imagine will be even more calm if Wello can pick up one more, because the game within a game here is that Hampshire rapidly need wickets before the rain might come. This time Wellington has Winfield Hill jabbing to her inside edge. We are eagerly across the Duckworth-Lewis permutations. Now Yorkshire is still comfortably ahead because of this very nice first wicket stand, but a bit more from the Wizard of Wello could change that. Winfield Hill is down the pitch and is stumped. Southby with the fast hands, and Amanda Jade Wellington has got Lauren Winfield Hill for 35. The Yorkshire captain's face sums it up. She knows how important that is with where the game stands, with how the skies are looking. 63 for 2. Two fresh batters at the crease, both having not faced for Yorkshire. It is that cricketing cliche of add 2 wickets to the score and the game completely changes.
Well, it does indeed, and actually just looking at the DLS, I think that actually puts Yorkshire just behind.
2 runs behind, exactly as we were just saying. All of a sudden, were Yorkshire to be none down, they'd be 18 runs in front. If they were 1 down, they'd be 9 runs in front. But as a result of this bit of magic, Flight and Gale up above the eye line, lots of turn. That, my friends, is sexy bowling.
That is really good bowling.
Beautiful. And I think no matter who you're a fan of, even the most passionate White Rose fan, well, I mean, I guess if you're a White Rose fan as well, you might be used to seeing a bit of that from Adil Rashid over the years, or more recently, potentially later this summer, once her finger's not broken, Sarah Glenn. But this is Amanda Jade Wellington at her best. It's slow, it's flighted, it's looped, and you can see Winfield Hill's frustration. My goodness me. But Yorkshire's consolation prize is that it brings together the 2 most formidable players, arguably, this season in Stair Callis and Jess Jonathan. They've had a few very good partnerships together, and Callis is bang in form. She's facing a piped-up Wellington. This is exactly the kind of cricket we want to see, and that we hope will see this game to a natural conclusion. But if you could see the wider shot we can see of the skies, you'd understand why we're talking about the rain. Callis this time, as she loves to do, goes inside out with those hands through the covers, gets off the mark. She is bang in form. She has this season put together quite the analysis. 4 against Somerset, 38 against Surrey, but 61 of 42 against Blaze, 45 against Lancashire, 79 off 76 against Durham, and 65 not out of 60. She has back-to-back 50s, and she has 350-plus scores in her last 4. Meanwhile, JJ, as Aaron has already mentioned, has a couple of tons to her name. What a game of cricket we've got, if it doesn't rain.
What a matchup this is as well, between Wellington and Jonathan, and even Wellington and Callis. This really is an incredible trifecta that we've got here at Clifton Park today, as Jonathan attempts the sweep there to get off the mark.
Look, we're discussing it because we've got to, because we've looked at the skies, we've come off 3 times, we've seen what we've seen, but we really hope this doesn't come down to a DLS sort of run 1 in either direction kind of thing. That's straight at point fielded by Georgia Adams, who you would imagine will at some point probably end up having her say in the contest, such as her excellence. It's very rare Georgia Adams is quiet with both bat and ball. End of the 14th, 64 for 2. Last 2 overs, 2 runs, 2 wickets.
Yeah, it's been outstanding, hasn't it, for Hampshire? It really has galvanised them, given them a necessary boost. First one was Boyce, dismissed for 22. Lauren Winfield Hill, Yorkshire captain, gone for 35. So what was once a 62-run stand between the 2 Yorkshire openers, well, Callis and Jonathan now out in the middles. We just can see that leadership group coming together. So much experience in that one shot with Adams, Wellington, and Datani.
Yeah, and what an addition this season as well for Hampshire to pinch her from Somerset. I know a few people in and around things at Somerset were absolutely gutted to lose her. And you know, top class all rounder, but also in moments like that gives you so much on top. It's sort of chatting with Datani about her plans, but also you see it as she walks out of shots, always got a smile in her face, always injecting energy, relishing the battle. But as will Ster Callis, a determined Dutchie. She faces up to Datani from the rugby ground end. Callis mainly pick out short mid-wicket. Give you a guide, Yorkshire 3 behind DLS at the start of this over.
You just see on the scoreboard as well, by the end of it, we need to be touching 70, so it's staggering just how much of an impact wickets can have. With that being said though, still plenty of batting still to come here for the home side. We're seeing 2 of them in the middle here. Of course, there is a certain Amy Campbell who has got history here at York.
Yeah, hit quite a few sixes in the game last season against Leicestershire here, including one that almost hit us in the commentary
Yep.
box, and she finished the game with one that, from memory, almost went over the pavilion. It was so big. So she'll fancy a bit of this, but Yorkshire will hope it's a while until she's needed. Callis and Jonathan have had quite a few big partnerships this season. Hoping for another one here. One flicked away, but for the second time in the over, Callis picks out short mid-wicket. These two are far too experienced to be anywhere near as excitable as we might have been in the commentary box about the way this game has shifted in the last 10 minutes. They truly have seen it all before. Callis, of course, who will play for the Netherlands in the World Cup this summer and is a bit of an honorary Yorkie after being a diamond throughout the regional era. She'll get the honour of playing a game at Headingley for the Dutch in the World Cup, which I know she's rightly very excited about, against India. She's expecting what is another good ball from Datani. She's just building in the over.
It is, and she's got a wonderful attitude to the game as well. I know that we spoke about it at length last season, but I mean, she was here, there and everywhere across both of the tiers, of course, playing Tier 2 cricket for Yorkshire and also representing Warwickshire in a number of games across competitions. So she absolutely adores the great game. She is a wonderful ambassador for Dutch cricket. Very, very talented batter as well.
Full toss, and Datani will be so frustrated because she's bowled a really good over so far here, and yes, that's only gone for one, but it's still released a bit of pressure. I think if Callis is in, that almost certainly does go to the boundary.
Comes down to game awareness though, doesn't it, in the situation. I mean, it would be absolutely horrendous for Yorkshire to lose 3 back-to-back-to-back wickets within, what, a matter of 3 or 4 overs.
Yeah, and it would continue a bit of an unwanted trend for Yorkshire, albeit it's one that's actually really not happened with the likes of Callis and Jonathan. It's slightly further down from the kind of middle order onwards of collapses, of losing big wickets in clumps. And he bangs it in short again, and Jonathan is not intimidated by a ball like that. You can't bowl a bouncer to Jess Jonathan that's sort of belly button height. It's help yourself stuff, and that's a shame for Datani. The first 4 balls were so good in this over, but a full toss and then a poor short one releases the pressure. 5 off it, 69 for 2 off 50.
And that is precisely how I described that last delivery. It is a pressure release, that, for Jonathan. Gets her off the mark, I mean, in fine fashion as well with a 4. Just made that one look effortless. And there was a big gap between those 2 fielders on the onside. So it's quite a low-risk, high-reward shot there for the Aussie. As for Datani, just something to think about. We have seen today, I mean, there was the almost anomaly, wasn't there, of Blackwell getting the wicket with a short ball. I mean, the south bit was about to be dismissed, but aside from that, mostly been dealt with.
What magic is Wellington. Those fingers here. You can see her blowing on them. It is a chilly day for it. We're somewhat sheltered in here, so we probably haven't emphasised enough how cold it is, but even in the sunshine, it's not been that warm. Not for long anyway. This off the back foot picks out deep cover. On 5 series of metrics that analysts use for measuring playing spin bowling, Kallis is considered one of the very best players of spin of anyone, including the international players, when they drop in and play domestic cricket across women's domestic cricket in the last 5 years. And that's on ability to sweep, reverse sweep, contact points, strike rate in the first 10 balls of spin faced, and a positive impact. This time Jonathan gets that away for 1. Now you're probably thinking, some of you at home, maybe you're a bit old school, Michael, what on earth is positive impact? And that's a fair question. Positive impact is essentially the rate at which Kallis is scoring off spin bowling is significantly higher than what you'd expect an average top-order batter to manage it. So this is a big battle, Kallis versus Wellington. Look round the corner. You know, I know from speaking to a few analysts across the country, often Kallis is that good against spin, your matchups would actually dictate you might be more likely to get a seamer on slightly when she first comes to the middle, but Wellington is that good a spinner that you still back her and you keep her on, of course. This drives nicely, but for no reward.
I think there is another metric in there as well, just from a spinner's brain, which immediately comes to mind, and that is the strike rate in the first 10 balls, because as a spinner, that's when you're looking to strike. Especially when you've got a player who almost has those concrete shoes, they're sticking within the crease. He rocks onto the back foot there, slashes it away for no run. Will be a dot ball to finish the over. Yorkshire are 71 for 2 after 16, but as a spinner, if you've got someone, you can usually tell probably within an over, if that. Might take 3 or 4 balls. If you can see that someone's a little bit nervous, apprehensive, compared to someone who's happy to go out there, put the pressure back on you, or indeed just rotate the strike, it's quite the impact on your psyche. So that, for me, at least from a bowler's perspective, would also be quite important.
Yeah, and look, like any batter, right, it only takes 1 ball to get you out. I mean, Stair Kallis was a perfect example of this, because you rock up to Tier 2 T20 Blast Finals Day last season, she possibly would have been the most bankable player there. She gets 1 in the semi-final against Glamorgan and then 2-ball duck against Middlesex in the final. Now, that's not to dig Stair Kallis out, she's a great player, but it also reflects the brutality of the sport, right, particularly from a batting point of view. 71 for 2 off 16. Big change being made here, and a nice moment. Amanda J. Wellington using all of her charm to just calm Poppy Tulloch down, because this is a big moment for young Tulloch. 20-year-old seamer from Swindon, started at Hungerford, the same club as Lauren Bell came through at. Had a good loan spell at Glamorgan last season, but in her second appearance for Hampshire, she's got a chance to produce the kind of spell that might win the game for them. Starts by being guided out to deep cover by Jonathan. 1 for 56 against Somerset, including her first ever Hampshire wicket. Bustling would be the first word that comes to mind. She first came to a lot of people's attention. You don't really keep her, only sort of keep tabs more on the senior level of cricket at T20 Finals Day when she got Georgia Boyce and Stair Kallis out. But she built a very impressive season of cricket under her belt for Glamorgan in Tier 2, and so she's now quite naturally sort of made the step up to life at Hampshire. Being more by Kallis, there was slight hesitation. They'll get 1 pretty comfortably though.
I was going to say, we saw that at Wheatwood, didn't we? In the, was it a Metro Bank One Day Cup game? I think it was, against Glamorgan. I think it was a One Day Cup game,
correct.
But she was ever so impressive. Definitely the pick of the Glamorgan bowlers, along with the leg spin of Poppy Walker.
Yeah, and she opened the bowling a lot for Glamorgan last season. And again, that responsibility of coming into a Tier 2 team and people are looking up at you thinking, what are you bringing to this side? It's a different level of pressure. And goes short. Just turn straight to point. Little period here without a boundary for these two. They're far too experienced to be too perturbed by that, but Hampshire will feel pleased that they're very much keeping a lid on things. 62 without loss after 12, remember, Yorkshire. So since then, in 4.5 overs, they've lost those 2 wickets and scored just 11 runs. Oh, that's a slice from Jonathan. A little bit of luck there. Goes down to deep third. It was to be nowhere near it. It's one more. It won't surprise you to know with a turnaround like that even though we don't have him hooked up to a heart rate monitor, the Hampshire analyst a few yards away from us, he's giving me a gentle smile now. He's breathing a little bit easier than he was 15 minutes ago, with it really looking like it was about to bucket down any second. And that first wicket partnership ticking on for Yorkshire. For now, we're okay. And we'll see. It's a horrible ball from Tulloch. Just collapsed away to the offside, slightly lost her bearings in her action. It happens to the best of us.
It does, and something else which I think we do need to mention is also the required run rate, even if there isn't any further rain impacting this particular fixture.
Yeah, good point.
It's touching 6.5. Start of the innings, it was around about 5.8, so it hasn't jumped up or skyrocketed, I should say, beyond reach here for Yorkshire. But of course, this is why it's almost the game within a game. If this was a completely dry, gorgeous, sunny day, I think these two right now probably play this slightly differently to what we're seeing. But because there is that threat of rain, you don't want to be ridiculously far behind the DLS. They've got to almost put that at the back of their mind and be wary of it.
Well, they're tracking pretty much 2 runs behind it as we speak. Coming right arm around now, pulled down to deep fine leg, so 5 off the over, 76 for 2 off 17 then. At the end of the over, they've got themselves to being 1 run behind on DLS Yorkshire. Let's have a glance elsewhere on a day where it's been a great day for rain around the country, but we haven't been quite at a point where we need to build any arcs. Lancashire versus Warwickshire at the Costa del Southport has been reduced to 42 overs a side. Lancashire made 226 for 9, a card full of starts. Ellie Frelkel with 39, Maddie Penner with 38, Kate Cross with a handy runner ball, 34. Mary Taylor with 3 for 47. Warwickshire 99 for 3 at the halfway point. Pretty even Stevens there. Karis Pavley's flying though, 36 not out of 27. And Somerset were in a lot of trouble with the bat. Swallow starts a new over. And Wellington has Callis in a bit of an awkward spot. Somerset 222 for 9 off their 50 overs. Powered by 97 from Annika Leroyd and 43 from Griffiths. Callis is pushing back in this intriguing latest part of the Wellington versus Callis battle. Alex Griffiths with 43, and in reply, Blaze are going very well. Alice comes down the pitch and, well, she shaped to come down, then she rocked back, then she tried to cut, then she missed it. Grossing battle here. Blaze 164 for 2 off 32, chasing 223 to beat Somerset. This again become 4 dots in a row. Tammy Beaumont, 69 not out. Georgia Elle was 67 not out. Both aging like fine wines. Elle was probably the signing of the season last season for anybody across the board. They have put on 116 and counting. Wellington goes quicker and flatter, straight to short fine leg. Hopes of a run out, and it did need the dive, but I think the dive from Jonathan made sure she was okay. If it was a direct hit, it could have been very, very interesting indeed. And the throw wasn't quite perfect.
You'll see there, I mean, the dive does save Jonathan in the end, but the throw could have been a little bit flatter. Of course, Southby there having to reach for it and drag it back down onto the stumps. Even so, potential heart-in-mouth moment that for the home side.
Jonathan won't get a single to finish the over, so it's another tight over. There's a question here for Georgia Adams about how she likes to play her poker, how she likes to use her chips. We've used 5 overs of Amanda Jade Wellington. How far do you keep going?
That is a great question, because of course she's only got a maximum of 8. is going to be very intriguing indeed. Whether or not we'll see a sixth over or see a change in the bowling from the 60 ends. We do know there won't be a change from the rugby ground end. It will continue to be Poppy Tulloch.
Yeah, would have been pretty savage when Tulloch off on for 5. Just stating facts, of course. Great opportunity for someone like Tulloch, who of course has got Callis out last season, to try and do it again. 15 runs scored off the last 6 overs for the loss of both of the opening batters. There is no doubt the pressure is on Yorkshire at this particular moment.
Out to the right as well, bright blue sky. Tulloch bowls here to Callis, and Callis falls that one through the covers. Might just be a single though. Good fielding out there, wasn't it, from McCacken?
Batted very, very well earlier on and was somewhat unlucky. I mean, she absolutely nailed one to Amy Campbell at mid-wicket. One of those at 2 yards either side is undoubtedly a boundary. And did it as the rain started coming down as well. Bowling with Ward. This time in a nice spot once more. Poppy Tulloch from Swindon joined the Berkshire Pathways in under 10. Made a senior debut against Worcestershire in 2022. Part of the Vipers Academy and rolled on to being Hampshire set up in the change of things that happened before the start of last season and were moved from regions to county. Tulloch again has Jonathan playing and missing. Nice that from Poppy Tulloch.
Again though, she does have to be careful here with regards to both line and length, especially if it is banged in a bit short, because there is a very big gap between deep fine leg and deep backward square, just out towards those benches where a couple of supporters currently sat. Really has got to maintain a very disciplined line here.
That's straight, and that's hit straight to Wellington at mid-off. Poppy Tulloch has got the massive wicket of Jess Jonathan, 78 for 3. Yorkshire's troubles continue. An enormous moment for the 20-year-old seamer who gets Yorkshire's oh-so-impressive Australian overseas all-rounder, who just got caught in two minds here as to whether she was trying to hit it hard along the ground or smash it over the top, and didn't really do either. Jonathan gone for 7, 78 for 3.
Well, that is another massive wicket for both of these teams, really. Just in terms of morale, Yorkshire's informed batter's gone. As for Hampshire, what a moment that is for Poppy Tulloch. Jonathan, you could see, immediately knew did not have anywhere near the elevation needed to get it over the top of her compatriot Wellington. And that could prove to be a pivotal moment in this run chase, as one Southport batter is replaced by another. Amy Campbell comes into the middle.
Well, she's early on it, and I think that's because it's a slow ball from Tulloch that has deceived Jonathan. Jonathan's not really trying to go over the top there. She's just early on it. That's why she chips it to mid-off. There was never really any intent to hit it over that fielder. It'd be nice to see that replay one more time at the right moment if we can. I think this is a change-up from Tulloch, and it's a great change-up. She just holds it back a little bit more. She just runs her fingers down the ball, and that's why Jonathan is early on it. Great bit of bowling from the 20-year-old. I've seen enough to convince me. You can decide whatever you prefer at home, but the fact is the scorecard says Jonathan 7 off 12, caught Wellington bowled Tulloch. She was early on it. Was just caught, well, literally caught out, but just caught out by the change-up. So Amy Campbell, naturally someone so destructive, but hasn't quite got the run she'd have wanted this season, and is batting on painkillers with a dislocated finger. And starts by flashing away through point for 4. Well, that will give Campbell some confidence. You can't bowl a ball like that to a player like Amy Campbell. She's always going to flash her hands at it. She gets a boundary to get her going.
Well, welcome to the middle, Amy Campbell. Starting off the innings in typical Campbell fashion with a boundary. Really is good to see Amy back as well. We'll know precisely how destructive, how explosive she can be with the bat in hand. And well, that right there, a quintessential example of her role in this Yorkshire team. So get off to a fast start.
It's a bit of a waft outside off to finish a successful over for Tulloch. So 82 for 3 off 19 at the halfway point of this rain-reduced run chase. Successful over for Tulloch. Campbell quite a handy player to have out there, of course. I know it's a different standard, but to give you a sense of the form she was in 50 over cricket last season, 452 runs at an average of 90, which is almost Bradman-esque, and she scored those runs at a strike rate of 151 per 100 balls. When it came to Tier 2 Metrobank One Day Cup cricket last season, Amy Campbell was the second highest run scorer, and it probably won't surprise you to know that she had the highest strike rate in the entire competition. But it's safe to say that hasn't quite moved into Tier 1 cricket as she might have liked. 12 against Somerset, 18 against Surrey, 2 against Blaze, 15 against Lancashire, 6 against Essex. So she's yet to pass 20 in her 5 innings so far. I'd love to make a big impact on this one. She didn't play in the game against Durham Scarborough because of that injury, and she's playing on painkillers with her finger in a splint. Georgia Adams is back. So used to pressure situations like this. And Callis has sort of spooned this up over cover. She's got a little bit lucky. If cover was hovering more towards the edge of the circle, might have had a chance of going back and catching it. And it's one.
Yeah, that wasn't the most convincing shot we've seen from Stair this season. It just spliced, didn't it, really, through the covers.
This is going to be interesting because Campbell is unlikely to take a backward step. And I wonder whether that physical injury as well might prompt her to be even more aggressive. Often can be the case with players. And you hit that straight to cover. Wide run rate just creeping up. It's now towards 7. Will be in the back of the mind as well. The clouds have suddenly parted like the Red Sea. That's flicked away by Campbell for 1. Good running by Callis as the non-striker. I'm sure some of you who were listening to us a few overs ago thinking, what on earth were you talking about? You're talking about DLS and going off, and you'd have to be here to believe us, I promise you. Suddenly the clouds have seemingly cleared. Callis gets this away to one of her favourite parts of the ground. Deep cover for 1. There's someone that likes to build her way into her innings, Stair Callis. Taking the time in 9 off 23, but then conventional then tends to look to go through the woods.
Well, this could be gone. It will be. Campbell has hit it straight into the awaiting hands of Naomi Datani. Her race is run for this game at York. Campbell departs for a runnable 5, and Yorkshire now really beginning to falter. The White Rose 85 for 4 towards the end of the 20th. Georgia Adams, as you said, Michael, having that desired impact on the game. Comes in for a second over and gets another big wicket here as far as Hampshire are concerned.
Amy Campbell was caught by
Well, they've
an
lost
enemy
4 for
to
22 now,
find
Yorkshire,
George
since they
Adams
lost their first wicket and that opening stand was separated. Just didn't quite catch this cleanly, Campbell. You can see in the reaction how frustrated she is. She's trying to sort of drag it from slightly... Well, no, I take that back. I was going to say outside off. It's not anything to do with the line she's pulled it from. It's the fact she was just early on the ball. It's clever from Adams. Adams just held it back. And that is what earns Adams the wicket. So 85 for 4 and a lot of pressure on the 16-year-old Ines Blackwell, who that iconic 6 hooked against a superb Filer at Scarborough. As mentioned there, Yorkshire men's captain Johnny Bairstow actually commented on the Instagram post saying what a shot. Reflected the kind of attention that it got as it was doing the rounds on the socials. But Blackwell couldn't see the chase home despite that magnificent shot against Durham. How they would love something here, Yorkshire, to help her do that here. She's got a best this season with a bat of 21. Best for Yorkshire ever of 30, which she got on debut last season. Quite get off the mark on that occasion. End of a successful over for Adams and end of the 20th. So 85 for 4. Wickets in back-to-back overs for Hampshire, and since that opening stand it's 23 for 4 of 8 overs. And so particularly given those circumstances and the fact that this game is very much in the balance, a understandably somewhat nervous Yorkshire president and once upon a time Yorkshire County Championship winning player back in the day, scorer of a test ton at Blackpool against India for England, and England World Cup runner-up, Dr. Jane Powell.
You need a long memory for any of that, Michael.
Well, luckily we've got them here at Yorkshire Cricket TV, and we're delighted to have you back. What a game we've got here, hey?
I need my sunglasses now. The sun is shining straight into my eyes through this window here. But good spell for Hampshire in those last few overs as they pulled the game right back into their grip.
Continue. That's a nice delivery to Callis, who will be aware that the responsibility really rests with her, and that the byplay here is, yes, Dare Callis got 65 not out of 60 in the game against Essex at Headingley last time out 11 days ago, but Yorkshire lost that game by 13 runs as she ran out of partners. Callis has now got to see if today she can be the person that does take Yorkshire home.
Yeah, Yorkshire need a few little cameos of 20, 30 runs each, you know, through the middle orders. It's a funny old game, and you're never quite sure what will happen as Callis plays that one out to deep cover for a single run. But you can never say never in this game, and you've just got to keep persisting, keep going for your shots, keep rotating the strike, and just see where it gets you. And then should you be in a position to then explode and go for the win, then that's what you need to do. But at this moment in time, then Hampshire will be very happy that they've sent Winfield Hill, Jonathan, Boyce, Campbell all back to the dressing room.
Alert. As Blackwell only guiding down to deep third to get herself off the mark. Ines Blackwell. I mean, it feels less relevant now in terms of an imminent need for it, but DLS is always an interesting marker of a chase anyway. And the DLS par at the start of this over for Yorkshire being 4 down was 112. So when you think that before that first wicket Yorkshire were 20 or so ahead, they're now 25 behind. Pollock this time is cut by Callis, who loves that area square of the wicket on the offside. Just to play very inside out through that offside, guided away with that bottom hand, using those wrists.
Yeah, and DLS is heavily weighted towards early wicket taking, which is what Hampshire have done, and that's why the score is so far ahead of Yorkshire at the moment. But as I say, you just need to keep plodding away, keep going, just keep trying to rotate the strike, and you never know where you'll get.
Well, this time Is inside edging, few square legs. She's interested in two. There definitely wasn't two there, so we'll stick with one.
Yeah, and I like that from Innes Blackwell. She played, got an inside edge on that shot, but ran the first one really quickly and turned to look for two runs. And that's the sort of thing you want from young players, is don't worry about a missed shot almost. Push the run and see if you can push it to two.
Straight to Wellington, who just slightly misfields, and Callis was proactively ready for the possibility of a single. Anyway, that's Yorkshire's most productive over in quite a long time. They've taken 5 off it, and from the previous 8 overs, they'd only scored 23. Managed a 5-run over once. 90 for 4 off 21 is where it sits. And what Yorkshire have also got to battle here is some psychological demons, because they've had an unfortunate habit of losing wickets in clumps. 6 for 69 at Somerset in getting bowled out. 8 for 70 at Surrey in getting bowled out. 6 for 45 against Lancashire at Old Trafford at the end in getting bowled out. 6 for 62 against Durham before that last wicket stand from Woolston and Slater rallied and actually got Yorkshire to a position where they needed 1 from the last ball, and then Woolston missed it. Wilson knocked down the stumps and it was a tie. And then against Essex, they lost 6 for 56. So Yorkshire have had a habit in 5 of their 6 games this season of big collapses. As Wellington is back and is out to deep cover. So this is a bold move from Hampshire. I want to say, don't mind it at all. It's positive attacking cricket. They decided to get Wellington back on to try and cause further damage.
Yeah, as far as Hampshire are concerned, if they can knock over Callis in Wellington's spell, then they'll know that they're fully on top. So it's not just a brave move, it's a sensible move at this stage of the game.
Wellington this time has Blackwell just working that away for 1.
A nice shot from Innes Blackwell. For someone so young, she shows a calmness beyond her years.
Alice this time just jumping into a pad. She does have innings like this though quite often, Stair Callis. This reminds me a bit of the game against Middlesex at Radlett last season. Started quite slow but built and built. This time Callis can't find the gap. There was a great article from Sid Egan called the New York Cheesecake Cooked the Stair Callis Way Low and Slow. Talking about that inning, great bit of cricket journalism. Callis this time is opening her shoulders, is skying this, and he's getting this right between mid-on and mid-off. My goodness me, that's a bit of luck. It wasn't quite a catching chance. It's a moral victory for Wellington, but nothing more.
Yeah, it was definitely a missed shot, but the thing that concerned me most was that she didn't go to run the single until she realised that it wasn't going to be taken,
Yeah.
and she could have easily been run out there, which would have been a real tragedy. A bit like, reminds me of Innes Blackwell when she had a no ball against her against Durham, and then got run out because it was a high ball that she had to take above her waist, called no ball, and then didn't realise that you can't be out caught off a no ball,
just got
but you
stuck.
can be run out in a no ball. Big
Yeah.
learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, we're miles away from being side on. You're absolutely right. I think even if it was a direct hit, she just about got home, but there was definitely a moment or two where it looked like ball watching could cost her in that regard. You can feel the tension out there
Well, on the
even from
rugby line
the
down,
glass booth
Georgia Adams.
in the pavilion. Alison Blackwell trying to help Yorkshire avoid what's been an unfortunate pattern of losing wickets in clumps. Georgia Adams is switching ends. 1 for 10 off her 2 so far. That continuing, beg your pardon. As this is smashed away through wide mid-on, it will be a very welcome boundary for Stair Callis, who's been struggling for rhythm a little bit. Well, I spoke too soon. This outfield truly is very slow after the rain. Great work from Amanda Jade Wellington. She's rightly got a big old smile on her face about it. Lovely stuff from her. It is in fact only two. Spoke too soon.
And great to have the experience of Georgie Adams on at this time for Hampshire. You know, this is exactly what they need. Mr. Callis pulls round on that. That'll be a single out to deep mid-wicket. Blackwell turned and looked for two, but there wasn't two runs there, so just the single off that one.
Got my bowlers in a little bit of it is Adams who's come on for Tulloch at this end. It's Adams that swapped ends, because of course it was Adams who got Campbell out from the other end previously. 1 for 15 off her, 3 from Tulloch. Nice little spell, and she got Jonathan out too. Blackwell minted one. There wasn't quite one there. Nice diligent fielding in the ring. It's well bowled by Adams again. So used to situations like this, Georgia Adams, just trying to turn the screw a bit. That's beautifully struck, perfectly bisecting mid-off and extra cover from Innes Blackwell. Her first boundary, strong, confident cricket shot with the full face of the bat to bring up Yorkshire's 100.
Yeah, lovely shot here from Innes Blackwell. She just leans into it. Little bit aerial, but that's okay as long as you place it into the gaps between the fielders. We'll see from this angle. Just hit it nice and strong, straight through the line of the ball, through extra cover for 4 runs. She goes for the same shot or a similar shot next ball, and that's a dot ball. So that's 7 off that over, and a good over there from Yorkshire.
Well, Yorkshire needed that as well. Just tries to keep them in touch a bit. The required run rate has climbed up to 7.5 and over. And thankfully, looking at the sky, which suddenly looks so innocent and sweet and happy, as if you rock up today and think, what a lovely day it's been in York. My goodness me, you wouldn't quite be right, but we've got here 15 overs left, and hopefully we've got a thrilling finish here for you.
And Jade Wellington to continue from the city end. She's bowled 6 overs now. She's got 2 overs left. She'll be looking to pick up the key wickets that are left, particularly Stair Callis.
Got the big one on Winfield Hill. Straight at point. A very, very high proportion of Yorkshire's runs this season in this competition have been scored by either Jonathan, Callis or Winfield Hill. Obviously 2 of those are back in the pavilion as well. It's launched by Callis, who loves to hit in that very straight V against spin, and has done exactly that there. Overpitched by Wellington, neatly put away.
Yeah, super shot. If you see this, she opens her left foot and then just swings the bat through straight, and it goes straight over that long on boundary. She's gone again, and this time it's 4 runs through a wider long on, really. So that's 2 balls dispatched to the boundary for 4, and I'm sure Amanda Jade Wellington will be looking to alter it with the next ball. So Stair Callis just needs to keep watching every ball, play every ball on its merits.
Pressure firmly on, back on the Australian here, who's been exerting it so much herself. Goes quicker and flatter and back of length. You often see that from the spinner who's just been hit by Wellington has. Moore now gets a chance to bowl at the 16-year-old Blackwell. That we're almost at the break part of this Metrobank One Day Cup competition. Blackwell is putting it into her pad inadvertently.
Altering the field, pushing mid off out to long off. Suggests she's going to give it a bit more air. And they're playing a miss outside off stump. That's 9 off the over.
2 good overs for Yorkshire back-to-back. They've taken 16 off the last 2, having had that real slowdown and that loss of 4 wickets as well between the 12th and 21st overs. I mentioned this competition having a break incoming. There's action at Trent Bridge when Blaze face Hampshire on Friday, and then 3 games on Saturday. Surrey versus Lancashire at the Oval, Yorkshire versus Warwickshire at Scarborough, which again will host the women for a second time in the Yorkshire women's professional era, with the white rose on their chest after that exciting draw against Durham recently. And Durham will play Somerset at Chester Street. This continues. Sweet missed. Very faint LBW appeals. Would have been hit in the second set.
Yeah, looked like it pitched outside leg stumpers.
Apart from that,
I've had a lot going for it.
again, and this is down the ground. It's not really timed, and Wellington coming across. Didn't quite get there. I think Callis knew that long off was out, but I think the way Callis likes to play inside out, she's looking to go over extra cover there. That's what she was trying to do. It didn't work because she was early on it.
No, she's been lucky at the moment. She's hit 2 skiers, or 2 or 3. And they've fallen in her favour at the moment.
Well, easy single there. And after those 3 games on Saturday, that's it for Women's Metrobank Cup competition action for a little while. We don't come back until the 13th of June. And there's a programme of 4 games, but Yorkshire actually don't play. So that's swept away, swept hard. Easily fielded by deep backward square. And Yorkshire don't play because, of course, Yorkshire have been added to the programme this season, so there's 9 teams. So the teams rotationally are always going to miss out on 1 round. Yorkshire actually, after Saturday against Warwickshire, next play in this competition when they travel to Durham on the 17th of June this year. Straight back to Adams.
But they will be playing Vitality Plus T20.
It's almost like you knew exactly where I was going, because we have a double header next Sunday. T20's going. That's worked into the gap for another relatively easy single. Blackwell maybe slightly slow to set off, but all worked out in the end. Good tight over from Adams. 113 for 4 after 25, which of course is not as it usually is the halfway point, because this is a 38 over game. Get your tickets for that last double header, which is rapidly coming around the corner. It's amazing how quickly the summer tends to start winding on. The women and the men go to Trent Bridge on Friday the 22nd of May. So the women play Blaze, who next season will become Nottinghamshire.